Welcome to my Rumble channel, Snacks123. I say again, welcome to my Rumble channel, Snacks123, SNAKZ123 on Rumble, and my YouTube channel, Eric Broadus YouTube. And today, I want to touch on a topic pertaining to the military and civilian life. And for today's topic, I would call it the military prepares you for war, not civilian life, or the military prepares you to survive war, but um, not the transition to civilian life. And so you might ask, okay, where are you coming from, and with this particular topic? you know and my thing is this, from personal experience. I um spent 20 years in the military, and um you know I I retired, and I had to transition into civilian life, um and become, a veteran. Now, granted, what I'm saying, I had the for us vets, what I'm saying, we have the TAP program, which is known as a transition assistance, what I'm saying, program. And so what that is, the purpose of that program is for um military members that are getting ready to get out, whether it's retirement or their time of service is up, and they're preparing to transition to civilian life. Now, normally this the TAP program, or transition assistance program, normally they'll probably have it 6 months to 90 days. So you have to make all your appointments, and included in these in the transition assistance program, you have medical appointments, psych evals, physicals. There's different things that you have to do pertaining to your finances, everything from potential job placement. So it's and then just um, certain development courses that prepare you for civilian life, and understand that all military members, regardless of branch of service, may or may not have combat experience. In my particular case, I do. It all depends on what the mission is, and also what assignment you get on your deployment. Some deployments and assignments are going to be obviously more lax, than others. And so some vets, depending on their career field, also they may never ever come in contact um, in a war type of environment, but nevertheless, what I'm saying, whether they have combat experience or not, all military members have to go through the transition assistance program, and they need to be able to need help, or shall I say, preparation to adjust for civilian life. You know, Anyway, let's roll with it, guys. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of backdrop. Now, the military, it trains you to survive war, but it does not train you for civilian life, and that, is a fact. That's not the military's job, or function. Many veterans, they leave service disciplined, resilient, and mission focused, yet struggle deeply after separation. Um, you know, I'm seeking here with this topic to expose hard truths about military transition, including loss of identity, purpose, structure, and the brotherhood. You know, I seek to break down why so many veterans can feel lost after service, and why discipline alone isn't enough. um, what the military never prepared us for once the uniform comes off. So hopefully this message will be well received. It is for veterans, active duty service members, and civilians who desire to understand the real cost of service beyond the battlefield. And if you want to hear more of this content, please, guys, after I'm done, please subscribe, for more real conversations. about military life, leadership, masculinity, um, and purpose, guys. But anyway, um, let me roll with it. All right. So now, let's see. The military trained me, obviously, to survive war, but it never trained me for civilian life. And that's why, so many, including myself, have struggled at times, after I got out, of service and became a civilian. Now, number one, the big lie, what I'm saying? They tell you you'll be fine when you get out. Um, the reality structure disappears overnight. No mission, no rank, no clear hierarchy. And let me deal with that, what I'm saying, briefly. Obviously, the military, it is centralized and very structured, you know, and many times, and myself included, the military has a set agenda, for you as an individual and for the group. So you have something to aim for and to focus on. You have, a goal that everybody is has to be bought into or sold on. Whether they agree with it or not. Okay, and once you get out that military, you starting coming into a different world, and you're starting all over again from the bottom. You got to fit in, you have to adjust, you got to prove yourself with a new group. you know you know of all whatever rank that you held, or prestige or position or status that you held in the military. Once you come out, for the most part, it doesn't mean anything on the outside once you become a civilian. So you're starting all over from the bottom again and having to prove yourself to another group. You know, second, I would deal with discipline and purpose. Um, the discipline you gain in the military, it keeps you functioning, not fulfilled. Say it again. Discipline will keep you function, but it does not keep necessarily keep you fulfilled. Discipline is necessary. You know, um, it is the doing, and I guess you can say maybe the needed training that produces results. Civilians don't reward discipline the same way. They don't. It's the military and civilian life, they're two different animals. They're like apples and oranges. So for the most part, it's like you can't compare. They're two different. The military has its own different culture. It's a subculture of the United States. What I'm saying, culture. It has its own separate set of rules. What I'm saying, its own separate set, of beliefs. How we do things. What I'm saying, different perspective. What I'm saying. The mission comes first, not the person. The mission comes first. You know, in the military, you are government issue. So basically, in a sense, you're a number, not an identity. You know, and like I said, on the civilian side, you're an individual. A person. And discipline, it isn't rewarded. The same way. And the civilian side is more um individualistic. Now, like I said, for those, I know I'm probably have people that are um from other countries that have served in the military and are in the military, and you yourself are veterans or some are civilians. So like I said, this applies also to your country, but it'll be modified according to your culture and according to the rules that are in your military. But all militaries, um the core is the same. We function on discipline. The group has to be bought in, and our goal is to get the mission accomplished no matter what branch of service you are. And the military has to be that way. You can't have a bunch of individually minded people, even though we're still individuals and we have our own way of thinking, but we have to um, form together like Voltron as one in order to get a common goal, purpose. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about us as an individual, it's about, the mission, what I'm saying, that's set before us. And so we set aside, individuality, what I'm saying, um I guess you could say by force because of the military rule of law. What I'm saying? And we have to, so long as it's lawful, we have to abide, what I'm saying, by that code of conduct and that standard that the military has set. That's its rules and its guidelines. And they set it up that way so that we can function, as a team so that we can get the goal accomplished. You can't have a bunch of individuals trying to do their own thing, else um, the objective won't get accomplished and it will fall to pieces, And unfortunately, with the military, in some cases, sometimes getting an objective accomplished, it can be in maybe dangerous environments and it may require some risk, what I'm saying, of life or limb. So you'd better be on one accord, and the group better be focused because we all have something on the line, you know let's see. Civilian side, let's see. When you get out, no instant respect, no earned authority. Like I said, you got to earn your stripes and your keep all over again. Once you become a civilian. On the civilian side, nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares who you are. Nobody cares what your past or former. Generally speaking, military life was. That's the past. You know what I'm saying? You here now. That don't matter no more. And the military career, it does not last forever. you know there is an end date, and in general most military careers are shorter than the civilian side. A career, it can last as much as, maybe depending on how young you start, it can be as long as maybe 40 to 60 years depending when you start. Whereas most military careers, you know, normally you can retire, at 20. Now, um, some individuals, depending on what rank or grade they make, some go to like maybe 25, 26. A few 28, 30, and the officer side, depending on how high they go. Um, if they make like, what is it, like one, let me see, what is it? I'm trying to think. What is it? Oh one or something? Is it oh one? No, no, no. It's not oh one. I'm sorry, guys. I think it's oh. Is it oh five? I'm getting my officer, my grade and rank mixed up. But for anything like generals, admirals, and stuff like that, those guys can go like into the range of 35, 40 something years, and then if you make obviously chiefs of staffs, I think you can go maybe 40, 45 to 50, what I'm saying? But that's a smaller percentage, what I'm saying? Only a small percentage is gonna become general officers and stuff like that, what I'm saying? But for officers, if they go high enough, they can retire after 30 something years. Enlisted, you have to be, in order to retire at say 30 or maybe 31, you have to be an E9. And if you're like say sergeant major of the army, chief master sergeant of the air force, what is it, um what is it, master chief petty officer of the navy. For the marines, it's like master gunnery sergeant, of the marine corps, you know what I'm saying? And for the coast guard, you know what I'm saying, same thing, master chief petty officer of the see, I forgot. I'm getting my stuff mixed up. But yeah, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard, would be the same thing. That can go 31 years. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be so long winded on this slide, but I'm just trying to break it down for those of you that may not understand military rank, grade, and structure. You know, so you can get an understanding. But I always said the military is a young person's it's a young person's military. Most of us in the military are considered to be seniors or old by the time we hit like 37. On the civilian side, that's still young. you know, that's still young, but in the military, a lot of us, some of us start at 17. Many of us start going to the military between the years of 17 to like probably 21 or 22 years of age. So having an individual coming out retired at 37, that's unheard of on the civilian side. Very few career fields allow you to retire that early like that you know so those are unique differences. And so you're in the military and you may have a certain position of leadership, rank, prestige, and then you come out, and all of a sudden all of that is gone, instantly. And you got to start, I'm saying, all over from scratch. On the civilian side, they don't know who you are, and on the civilian side, they don't know you and they don't care. It's like unless, what can you do for me, and what can you do, what I'm saying, for me now? You see what I'm saying? What you were, in the past, it don't matter. It don't matter. Purple Heart recipient, Medal of Honor recipient, what I'm saying, Silver Star. It does not matter. You could be the biggest military hero, but it's like, who are you now? What I'm saying? What can you do for me now? Civilians, a lot of them, they don't know about the military, and some of them, they don't care. Not that they're not patriotic, what I'm saying, but it's like it's not their job to know about the military because that's not the profession that they're in. They're dealing with life here on the civilian side, so that's not their focus. So it's not it's not cruel or anything like that, even though it may kind of seem like that. But for military members that become veterans, a lot of times they experience loss of identity because they had a purpose, and in the military institution they were somebody, but then they come back on the outside and it's like it's kind of like you were nobody. Start all over again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But loss of identity, what I'm saying? You weren't doing just a job, what I'm saying? In the military, you were someone, what I'm saying? You had status, the rank, uniform, and mission gave you an identity. In the civilian world, they looking at you and asking, who are you without it? What I'm saying? Who are you? It goes back to being an individual. And some veterans struggle, with that identity crisis. They can kind of lose themselves in their identity, in the military. They get caught up in it, and some don't adjust as well when they come out. And it's like I guess it's kind of like I know probably maybe some law enforcement individuals would understand it, you know, because of the nature of the job. But and this other career professions also, but um some people, I'm just, and whether it's military or not, some people, their career becomes their life, and you have to know how to separate the two. You have to know how to separate your profession from who you are as an individual. Who you are, at work or say in uniform is not the same person when you go home. And that's one of the things that veterans, or military members have to be prepared for and have to learn, as they prepare to transition back to the civilian life. When you um change over from, say, chief petty officer so and so, or sergeant so and so, and you come out on the civilian side, you're a Mister. You're a Mister or Mrs. What I'm saying, or your first name. Who are you? You know. Another point I like to hit on is um the community in the military and the brotherhood. The brotherhood that's in and community you have in the military, once you hit civilian life, it does not follow you. It does not translate. What you had in the military, it's like you got to reestablish connections like that. You got to make new friends, and you got to go find the things that you used to have, because on the civilian side it's spread out, whereas in the military it's concentrated. So it's like everything is set in a certain place and it's kind of there at once. What I'm saying, in the environment, so it's easier to make contacts and connections and to build bonds. And I have found that to be one of the most challenging things for myself. I have my and I'm still friends with, you know what I'm saying, some of my buddies that I haven't lost contact with, that was in the military. You know what I'm saying? We're still friends, but we're in different parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? And so now we haven't, we're not around. We still talk and converse sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But now that we're all out, we're in different parts of the world, different parts of the United States, some, you know what I'm saying, overseas, you know what I'm saying? And so, in the military, the bonds forged, man. The bonds forged in that pressure. Civilian friendships are possibly they could be more optional and shallow because you're an individual, and on the civilian side, it's you have more of a choice, and it's easier to move around and walk away. Mm, yeah, you know, but you know how they say that pressure produces diamonds. You know, pressure produces diamonds. You know, a lot of times veterans feel isolated even in crowds, and I can relate to that. Since I've been out the military, I have had very few friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm still sociable and stuff like that, but a lot of stuff for me, obviously as you get older, you're gonna slow down, and I'm not the social butterfly that I used to be. And I'm still sociable, but I've spent, what I'm saying, more time by myself and haven't really made as many friends, saying up close and personal, like I had with my buddies in the military. You know what I'm saying? We had I guess you could say more in common, more in common, easier to relate, and it's easier to form bonds, you know what I'm saying? It's just easier, Civilian side is different. And like I said, I ain't complaining about it, but I have to be honest about the difference, you know what I'm saying? I've become, more of maybe a homebody, or just kind of keep more, you know what I'm saying, to myself, you know what I'm saying? Haven't had very many friends on the outside. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to get used to, being on the outside, trying to find like-minded people. And on the civilian side, you know, especially for some people that's never served in the military, some of these people on the civilian side, they got these whacked out mindsets. It's like, what are you guys thinking? You know what I'm saying? And how they think, how they do things, you know what I'm saying? Whereas for us vets, you know what I'm saying, we may be used to a bit more regiment and discipline, you know? Let's see what else I would like to. Let me see, relationships and dating. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Direct communication classes with modern norms, and in the military, it is more a direct style of communication. You know, um, versus what may be on the outside. Now, I mean, hey, when it comes to relationship, people to people, I don't care whether you in the military, or not, and everybody has their own way of thinking. Everybody has their own communication style. So that's just something you just have to work with the individual that you're with. Now, I would say veterans, they expect accountability. Civilian society avoids it. You know what I'm saying? And for some veterans, this can lead to frustration, withdrawal, anger, and even culture shock because things are different from the way we knew them and how we're used to doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is going to happen. Veterans will experience this in different degrees. Some to a lesser degree, some to a larger degree. Obviously, some vets, you know what I'm saying, adapt to civilian life much easier than others. You know what I'm saying? I think I adapted fairly well to civilian life. You know what I'm saying? But some vets, they have a harder time. You know what I'm saying? They have a harder time, and especially if you've been in the military for a lot of years, for some vets it's harder to let go of because you get used to it. You know what I'm saying? It does have its own culture and lifestyle. And if you've been doing something for a long time, it becomes a habit, you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes old habits, are hard to break, and especially when it becomes a lifestyle. You know, why do many veterans feel lost? And For the civilians that are listening to this, you know, please have empathy, you know what I'm saying, for your vets, you know, whether it's the American military or if it's a military in your country, for those that, you know, maybe from different countries listen to this, you know, have empathy for your veterans because um, they've come out of a different environment and may have experienced certain things that many civilians have not, you know what I'm saying? So just please, you know, just have a little bit of empathy, you know what I'm saying, for your vets. You know what I'm saying? But many they can feel lost. They don't have a clear path, no clear lane, direction. Um, they no longer have a mission worth sacrificing for. You know, society, generally speaking, it wants comfort, not responsibility. And for the American society, that right there is 100% a fact. Americans love their convenience. You know what I'm saying? They love their convenience and they don't want anybody disrupting that particular aspect of their lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Americans so convenient that some Americans are so lazy that they will drive an extra 10 or 15 minutes around a parking lot, you know, in Walmart to try to get the closest space to the store when they could just park a little bit further away and just get out and walk. And they got two good feet, and you know these people, you know, saying are healthy, able to walk. It's like, you know, is it going to kill you to park, you know, a little bit further away and just walk? But you know what I'm saying that and I can testify to that with the American way of thinking. You know what I'm saying they love their convenience, and unfortunately, a lot of Americans they don't like the sacrifice. You know, they don't like the sacrifice, and many times they don't like the sacrifice as a group. You know, for the better of the good, they don't. More selfish and individually minded. You know what I'm saying, and I'm not knocking. You know what I'm saying on my fellow Americans, but I'm keeping it real. You know how we get down, you know what I'm saying, in this country. We love our convenience, you know? Baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie. You know what I'm saying? Don't disrupt my groove. Anyway, the truth about rebuilding, okay? As a veteran, when you coming out transitioning to civilian life, you must build, you know, a new mission, make a new name for yourself, not replace the military, but you got to repurpose the mindset. You know, some veterans have to, you know, all of us gonna have to let it go. That's why we're veterans. You know, there are things that we can retain and keep that we learned in the military, but once you leave uniform, you gotta learn to, you know, leave it behind. You know what I'm saying? And adjust to civilian life. You know, let's see, leadership, discipline, and service, they still matter, but you know, um it manifests in a different way on the civilian side. You know what I'm saying? Now you either working a job, you know, or either you may be running a business, you know, so you can take certain things and those attributes on the positive things that you learn from the military and you can apply it, you know, in your civilian life. You know what I'm saying? They will help you, you know what I'm saying, you know, go further. But as a vet, you know, when you get out the military, you know what I'm saying, you gotta we have to transition and we have to move on. You know what I'm saying? What we were and what we had in the military, it's over. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I think it took me about let me think. Let me see, after 20 years, I think it took me probably maybe about mm, I think it took me maybe about 2 to 3 good years to fully let it go and be like, hey, you know, you on the civilian side, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's over, man. You know what I'm saying? People out here have been living life on the outside, you know, and we as veterans, we are now coming into, so to speak, a different world. We're coming in to the civilians world, you know, and so we have to adjust. We're no longer in the military. Things are done differently out here, and you have to move on, and you have to adapt, and you have to adjust. And the military, they teach us to adapt and overcome, you know. And you know, in the end, you know what I'm saying, it will work out. Like I said, some of us takes longer than others. You know what I'm saying? But you just stay the course, stick with it, and eventually everything, it'll pan out. Like I said, to my civilians that have never served in the military, have some empathy, what I'm saying, for your vets. You know what I'm saying? Although we've been in uniform and we've been serving in that military institution, and so we've been taught, what I'm saying, different things, and we've been taught a different way of thinking, and being in the military, you have a different mindset. It's a different way of thinking, and we have to learn how to change our mindset gradually. Saying, depending on the individual, some can do it, what I'm saying, really fast and instantly. Some, what I'm saying, it may take a little bit longer than others, but nevertheless, what I'm saying, like I said, mindset. It's a mindset. We just have to, adjust. you know um my closing thoughts, what I'm saying, the military, in my opinion, it didn't fail, us as veterans, but the military was never designed, to prepare us for civilian life. It wasn't. It prepared us, for the military and, for the mission. That's its purpose, you know. And when it's time to go and get out, they basically just give us a, a little bit of a period to transition, and we have to move on, what I'm saying, from there, you know. But for any of my vets, if you need help adjusting to civilian life, get those services, at the Veterans Affairs. What I'm saying, or if you need off-site, what I'm saying, counseling, from say maybe a civilian professional, get help, wherever you need it. If you need help, adjusting to this life, and also if you need help with certain services, you know, hit the VA. The VA hotline, I think it's 1-800-427-1000. You know what I'm saying? And so they do have, services available, and President Trump has made, I think he's tweaked some services for veterans as well. What I'm saying? That will offer help and new benefits. What I'm saying? Even some grants and, business loans. I mean, all of this stuff, man. So take advantage as a veteran of what is available to you. Take advantage. But if you need help, what I'm saying, adjusting, what I'm saying, there are counselors, what I'm saying, help is available, you know, help is available. But just understand that the military and civilians have two totally different mindsets, and you have to change your mindset, But anyway, guys, um, that's all I have, what I'm saying, on this one. And the name of this channel is Snacks123 on Rumble, and also Eric Broadus YouTube. That's EricBroadus YouTube, or YouTube.com. So please, guys, subscribe and follow me here on Rumble, and hit the like and unlike button to like the live videos and stuff like that. Leave a comment. Love to dialogue with you. Participation, man. Like to hear your thoughts, and please share it. What I'm saying, share it, you know. Also for Eric Broadus YouTube, smash that bell to become a subscriber. Turn on all notifications. Hit the like and unlike button to like the videos. Also on YouTube, hit the hype button. Hype it, y'all. Hype it, and leave your comments. Love to dialogue with you. For Rumble and Eric Broadus YouTube, everyone has a right to be heard and has a right to their perspective. Everybody, thinks differently. But that's why we're in these spaces, so that we can dialogue and we can share different ideas. Whether it be about the same topic, or whether it be about something different. And also, I have a podcast, Snacks Thoughts, SNAKZTHOUGHTS, Snacks Thoughts. My podcast can be found on Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Radio PBM, and a host of other social media outlets. Lastly, guys, I have the five best weight loss products. Link will be in the description. For it's health and nutrition. Leaning out, cutting body fat. Losing weight, next to God, the next best thing that you have is your health. You get one body and you get one life, ladies and gentlemen. So please take care of your health, take care of your body. Your health is your wealth. You take care of it, it will take care of you. But thank you guys, what I'm saying, for listening. And like I said, thank you to all my followers on Rumble. Please share. And thank you to all my subscribers on YouTube. I appreciate both of you guys on both of these platforms and also on my Snacks Thoughts podcast. All right. Peace out, guys. Catch you on the next one later. Yeah.